Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Elevate Your Business, Your Career TV. I'm your co-host, Scott Stolze, and I'm sitting today with my co-host, David Newkirk. And we're going to jump in for a few minutes. Happy Friday. We're going to talk a little bit about if you are having challenges reflecting back on 2018, and this is really common. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive with some suggestions and tips for you if you're struggling looking back on your year at the successes and challenges so that you can reflect and position yourself for an amazing 2019. And we know, David and I have been talking about this a lot the last few weeks. A lot of us struggle to make time and prioritize this ever essential work and step in our business and our career. So we're going to help them out a little bit today.
We will. We'll offer a couple of tips, and hopefully that'll help move you forward.
Absolutely. So think about this before David and I jump in with a few suggestions for you. Think about, ask yourself, while you're processing where we go for the next few minutes, am I struggling making time to sit down and look back on what I need to from 2018? And even ask yourself why. Why is that? Why do you think you're struggling to put a few minutes aside here and there? And David, I'll swing this over to you in a sec. I've told you before, I think a lot of us carry, and I know I've done it for many years, we carry a narrative and a story in our head about how busy we are. And that's a word that, I like to strike out of my vocabulary as often as possible. I'm so busy, I'm too busy, I'm too overwhelmed. And before we even give ourselves a chance to do something that would be productive for us, we fail. We don't even give ourselves the chance because in our head we psyched ourselves out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it really actually just boils down to one thing, and it's avoidance. And by avoidance, in my experiences working with clients all the time, or even coaching people that are not clients but do some coaching, is that if there is a feeling that your work on reflection is going to create more negative feelings of not having accomplished as much, and so you're stacking anxiety over, I'm gonna look at a list that's less successful than more successful. I don't want to feel that way, so I'm going to replace that and want to feel better during the holiday season and replace it with other things. And that's just in my experience. So what I find as a hurdle is that if we can get people who are feeling that way to actually understand that that's not the goal and the objective of the reflection, it's to actually move you from that and say this work will actually move you to feeling better because you will now have the opportunity to know exactly how to create the positives and the success.
You raise an interesting point, and I think we could be like that. You could be like that, or behave or think along those lines at any point in the year.
Yes.
Right?
That's why we have our ups and our downs, and our cycle of up and downs is never the same. It varies, and sometimes we're longer in the down cycle because the avoidance issue is we just are not having the mental energy, or we truly are feeling anxiety about having to deal with that, and we're not finding a way to be able to do it.
Yeah, I know for sure that some of the clients that I've worked with, and there is you make an interesting point about we tend to want to. I mean, it's painful. We don't want to sit in the harder and more painful stuff, and we want to focus on something. It's almost like, and I've talked with clients about this, when you make a long to-do list. See, I learned a good lesson. I don't know if you all make a to-do list. If you do, ask yourself this question. I used to love having like a 10-item to-do list that I can cross off 6, 7, 8 things pretty quickly. But I found that it wasn't really substantive, and I've since narrowed it down. And I did that because I knew 6 or 7 of them were easy, and it was going to make me feel better. Sort of align with what you're saying.
You don't pick off the hardest one.
Yeah, it's all the low-hanging fruit. So now I really condense it down to 2 or 3 substantive, even if they're difficult ones. So yeah, that's good food for thought. Okay, so let's get into some suggestions now about what people can do. I'll start us off. David and I were chatting earlier and several times this week because we're both doing reflective work on 2018, and it sort of ties back to what I said earlier too. Is that I made sure that I have a mindset, and this is something to think about. A tip for you if you're struggling making the time of, don't fall back on, this is going to take me a lot of time, or I'm super busy, or I'm overwhelmed, and hopefully I'll fit it in. Say to yourself, I'm going to enjoy sitting down and learning a lesson from 2018 from my job or my career or my business. All right, so I'll just say that slowly one more time. I'm going to enjoy sitting down and learning something about my business or my job in 2018. And you know, I found for myself when I changed that story and the language and the way I speak to myself, I actually do. I feel better and I look forward to it more. So that's the first tip of 2 that I wanted to suggest. So just, it's a language shift, and it helps in your mindset too, that I'm not too busy to do this. I'm actually going to enjoy learning something, even for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's great. And I think one of the other important things, I'm going to round that out with a suggestion, which is, I mean, even I have ups and downs. I mean, we're human. That happens. We can't avoid it. But here's what's really important is what I do to try to help minimize those feelings is the suggestion that I'll make. Surround yourself with people who support empowering you with words or just emotional support of allowing you to go in that direction, where they're not dwelling on the things that you are dwelling on, which is the negative feelings of, gosh, I didn't do X, Y, and Z, that feeling of failure, because your friends and your support system pick you up and say, you need to persevere through that and move through that. And I think that's why I won't speak for you, Scott, but that's why I know I do what I do, is because I want to be a resource to people where if they just don't have a bunch of personal relationships that they can count on to make that happen, I'd like to be a resource to help them, because it's such an important piece for people to move forward.
And I can vouch. We may be co-hosts, but you really do enjoy it. This guy, he will help anybody work through an issue, a problem, a topic. So, and sure, yeah, I see you light up. It's not even your business, and you'll be happy doing it. So, which, by the way, so to just add on to what you just said too. So, you know, David and I have launched this program, this platform, Elevate Your Business and Career TV, and I've been supercharged by this.
Me too.
I'm really, really enjoying this, and you know, the fact that, you know, David just talked about surrounding yourself with good people, and the fact that, you know, I've connected with you on this level to really put work into motion and action has given me even more fuel.
Yeah, and you know, here's the real fun part about it. When you find someone to surround yourself with, you only need one person, because what ends up happening, that one person says, I want to introduce you to somebody else. That helps build your circle of support. They just advocate, volunteer, and because they care, they want to help. Now, in what form that happens or how it comes about, you know, is different for everybody. But when you are leaning on someone, it's usually human nature where they want to actually see if there's anyone else that can help too. And that's wonderful. So it doesn't end there with one person.
Absolutely. Most of our substantive movement forward in our career or business does not come from your first line of contacts in your network. It's second, third, and fourth level people that you're close with put you in touch with. Okay, so let's wind down the last moment or two of this video so we can let people get on with their day too, is this. So I'm going to throw one out. I'll keep this brief, and your last tip is another suggestion. And again, it's in line with what we've been talking about before too, is, you know, don't overwhelm yourself. Literally do not overwhelm yourself. You know, pick out, we have a tendency in our career and our professional life and our business, you know, we think we have 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 or 8 things we need to focus on. And that may very well be the case in reality. But simply tell yourself, not only am I going to enjoy looking back and reflecting on my challenges and successes, but pick even just one area of your business or your career that you want to improve. Even if you just sit down between now and the end of the year and say, you know what, I want to work on steps I can take to improve my relationships at work. I know I have other skills to get, and I want other initiatives to work on, but I'm going to focus on relationship building and having a better relationship with my boss or one of my colleagues, and what can I do to get better. Parse it down so that it's a lot more, you know, simple and achievable, and you're not overwhelming yourself with a longer list.
So my one tip to that, to add on, is think about what your motivators are. Think about the things, the 1 or 2 things that typically trigger you doing something. And so it's something that you enjoy doing, it's something that you tend to focus on, it tends to say, you know what, I've had this burst of energy, you know, I want to do this. Or you may have been in a situation where you don't want to do something, but there was a trigger and you did it. Understanding the triggers that make you do something is really important, because you want to call on those triggers and you want them to push you to do what you need to do, like get through the end of the year, get teed up for next year, and know that here's the total goal that's I think Scott and I are talking about. The whole focus right now is that you feel so positive on January 2nd, on a new year, that you have momentum, so that if you are starting to hit hurdles, those hurdles are smaller versus bigger, and you've got lots of things pushing you the wind at your back. And I think that's really where I'm coming from. I think it's where you're coming from. We want that push, and I think that's really what this is. We're very passionate about it, and we want you to go in that direction. We want you to have that push.
Sounds great. Few weeks left in December. You've heard some tips and suggestions. Again, if you're struggling with making time, think about what David and I have shared today and other things that can help you and turn it into a positive. This is a great exercise for you. Like David said, get that momentum at your back. Elevate your career, elevate your business, be ready for 2009, make a difference. I'm your co-host, Scott Stolze. He's David Newkirk. We're here for you anytime. All right. Check us out on other postings. Comment below. One little call to action too. If you have a tip or suggestion that helps you and that you would like other members of the group to see, please comment below and share so that we can all benefit from your insight and wisdom.
One thing, so I don't forget, if you know anyone who's feeling what we've been talking about, have them join the group. Get them involved. Please. That's your support to them.
So we just added another call to action. I like it. Comment and share with others who need this help. Okay, we'll see you again soon.